So I'm pretty used to doing this. There's nobody waiting. But I wanted to test this out, man, because I'm kind of tired of, or not tired of, I'm appreciative of being able to record uh, the way that I do. It's free. I don't edit shit. I don't put a bunch of um, work into it yet. Not to say that I won't ever, but I don't now. Anyway, recently I talked about the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn and the concept of receiving your riches on Earth, receiving your reward on Earth, your heaven on Earth, heaven. Um, that's something that I thought about recently because I don't know, it just kind of came to me, and though it has a specific sound to it, what I'm talking about is not materialistic. It's not material. I'm talking about the concept of um, power. Power. I have a video where I talk about a specific story that has to do with Aleister Crowley taking a young man to the desert and doing some wild shit to him over the course of a night. It's pretty fucked up. If you are not familiar with that story, watch that video. I don't really go into the specifics of what he does to the kid, but it's not cool. It's pretty fucked up. Um, Aleister Crowley. I'm not sure about Plath, but Aleister Crowley and many of his inner circle talked about feeling some feelings of remorse and regret on their deathbeds. Um, I don't know that that's the most talked about thing when it comes to those beings, but they, showed in different ways that they were not necessarily happy with the way that they lived their lives. Um, when you there's a specific headstone. I feel like it's Parsons, maybe it's not. There's a headstone that is kind of an admission of um, NASA not necessarily being on the up and up about the information that they give to the general public. Talks about a firmament. It gives the Bible verse stating that there is a firmament. And while I'm not saying I know exactly what we are in or what's above us, what I do say pretty regularly is that I don't know. You look up, you see um, what we're told are celestial bodies. They, to me, look like light bright lamps, like light bright bulbs. You can, of course, see like planes and things like that, but what have you seen space? You know? So I feel like there's a potential for maybe not necessarily exactly what many people hypothesize, but at the very least, you and I have not seen space. We've been told of a vast ocean of possibility that lies above us, but all of the information that's given to us by that organization is data. That's not conspiracy. It's not me just saying shit. They've gone on the news and said, we really don't have pictures per se. We get data and we render that data into artistic representations, you know? So I feel like there was a pursuit of power from the people, the beings that were in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and when they met what they viewed as the end of their experience here, they realized like, oh, I did some shit that might be considered cool, or maybe I had some fond memories, but I'm gonna expire now. This meat suit, this avatar is gonna expire now, and what do I know? What am I looking forward to? And I think that that's pretty significant, not just for what I'm talking about, but also if this many people look at people like Crowley and Plath and Parsons as such influential and intelligent beings, none of them seemed to be comfortable with what was about to happen to them when they passed. When their avatar expired, when their body was going to give out, they didn't seem comfortable. They didn't seem like, I'm cool, I know what's coming next. And if you take a second to think about that and wonder, like, okay, well, if I had the secrets, if I had, you know, spoken to entities that had the secrets, or whatever, Crowley and the rest of them, alleged and claimed, wouldn't you be more comfortable with passing away? Wouldn't you be more comfortable with whatever comes next? You know, it's strange to think about stuff like that when you study um, alchemy and esoterics, and um, think about the hermetic orders that have come before these generations that we see now. Like, my position on a lot of these things is very similar to what it was when I started, but at the same time, it's changed a lot. There's a lot less extremism, and I didn't start with a lot of extremism to begin with. But when you start like cross referencing or thinking about things from a logical or rational perspective, there are many that look at, you know, Plath, Parsons, Young, um, you know, many valet, many people as their, like, their guiding light, their lighthouse. But they're just beings that are here, and they contribute a lot of information to the things that many of us like to study or research or pay attention to. But how many beings do you know that have transcended or ascended the human condition, right? Because I don't know of any. There are claims. There are very clever attempts to sway people into a certain direction or religion or belief system, but I don't know of anyone who has successfully reached the nirvana that many people speak of, or that have surpassed the level of intelligence or knowledge or gnosis that any of the rest of us have. So it just kind of led me to this kind of thought experiment, thinking about, I'm not a fan of Aleister Crowley. I think he was a piece of shit. I don't know a lot about Plath, but I do know that she said some stuff also that kind of waned in her position on things. And Parsons, you know, very similar situation to Crowley. And when you start to look into these hermetic orders and these societies that sometimes start off with all the best intentions, it generally crumbles to power. It's almost like there's something innately within us that either has to battle with the concept of power, or becomes consumed by it. And it's not to say that there's no potential for someone to be able to, you know, get away from that, or to pursue something that's more noble or realistic for um, said transcendence or ascendance. But it doesn't. That's a real question. Who does anyone know of someone who really transcended, who we didn't later find to be kind of a shitty person? Because I'm sure a lot of people would say Gandhi or something like that. But if you follow these, if you follow these, topics and these people, Gandhi was not a good dude. He's a piece of shit. right? So, um, and when I ask that question, I'm looking for more of an objective answer. And I know that this is a subjective question, but there are too many situations where, to keep with the Gandhi example, many would still say, well, Gandhi did this and did that and helped this and helped that, but that's not a good example of what we're talking about. And there's not many that I can think of that don't have other people that will come forward and say, well, they actually were pretty fucking crazy and did this or that, or, they were secretly doing this, or, a lot of that money actually went to this. Um, and it's similar to organized religion. And it's not to, I don't think that religion is bad. I don't even necessarily think that organized religion is bad. I think that power, when you seek power here, when you seek power here, it corrupts. And I've been genuinely trying to think of someone who has had a significant amount of power who didn't turn into a fucking weirdo, you know? Um, and I have not been successful in that. Not to say that there aren't people that I don't know of doing weird shit or having some kind of not so cool proclivities, but not knowing is not a good, like, not having confirmation that they're a weirdo is not good enough for me, if that makes sense. Like, so I guess that kind of warps the potentials to just people that have either passed or are close to it. Because people that are still living and still practicing or doing whatever it is they're doing, probably not going to find out about their closet shit until they're closer to transitioning into whatever else they're going to do with their energy, with their being. But I just think it's interesting that so many of the people, the beings that have contributed huge amounts of information and philosophy and, alchemy, psychology, whatever it is, there's always some other shit to them. And many times the closer they get to moving to the next step of whatever it is their energy is going to do, they start to tell things about themselves. And while I'm not judging necessarily, it does kind of speak to something else. Okay, so that I'm not judging them. I'm just saying it it shows that there's something to the concept of not pursuing earthly riches, not pursuing earthly power, because it's so stationary. You're not taking that with you. What you can take with you is knowledge, and that kind of brings forth the concept of two different versions of heaven. There's heaven, knowledge, intelligence, and then there's heaven on earth, power, money, greed, influence, earthly things. And then there's whatever potentially comes after this, which we can't confirm to be a thing, right? Very interesting to me. And all that came from just thinking about people giving up their ghosts on their deathbed. Such a morbid thing, but it's like a clue into whether or not they were steadfast, whether or not they were being truthful in the things that they claimed when they were living and didn't fear expiring. Because Crowley, at, at certain points in his existence, said he was powerful as fuck. He said he was all powerful and all kinds of stuff. channeled a specific entity that may or may not be the inspiration for aliens, right? What's his name? Lamb? Go look up a picture of Lamb. I'm pretty sure that's the entity's name. Um, that's an alien, bruh. And I people get very people get very upset when you start to kind of play with the concept that aliens in specifics could be potentially something very different than what we've been kind of conditioned to understand or hypothesize. But I like I like thinking about things from as many positions as possible. So, sure, it makes a lot of sense that there would be many, many different types of beings, many, many different species and forms and shapes and potentially different dimensions of beings, all of that. None of that is something that I would readily deny or not accept as possibility, but at the same time, why wouldn't we view the potential for the opposite to be true? When you go back and look at a lot of these things, they come from a place. It's not to say that Lamb and Crowley's representation is the first of an alien. There are other supposed representations of other beings here, but they're called many different things. There's a movie called Watchers. There's a movie called Watchers. I didn't fucking like it. I'll say that. But it is about the concept. Spoiler. I'll say spoiler. I think that's stupid, but I'll say spoiler. It's about the concept of the Nephilim. But in the movie, they don't refer to them as Nephilim. They refer to them as the Fae or fairies because the movie does not take place in America, and not everything is about America. So it draws back to the concept that I talk about with the extraterrestrial shit, where we're kind of all talking about the same shit. We just don't realize that we're talking about the same shit. So Fae, fairies, Nephilim, aliens, you know, uh, crypto shit. What if those are all just the same beings? And for instance, Crowley and these other people that have been granted some level um, of intelligence that most people don't have realized that it wasn't worth it at the end. Maybe they realized that that power that gave them, that information gave them, or that those man, I'd say parasitic, not symbiotic, but parasitic relationships gave them. Maybe they realized that that shit wasn't worth it. Very interesting to me, you know? I've been offered some apprenticeships with certain societies, and that shit creeped me out. I don't have any interest in that. I think it's weird. I'm not interested in the things that you usually have to do to remain within those orders or societies. And I mean, to be honest, to approach someone and call them by their given name and you've never met or seen them before, that's not the way to get someone to join an order. That's really weird and uncomfortable, you know? So, I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I am very much serious when I say, has can anyone think of someone that has attained a similar level of power or influence that didn't later, you know, show themselves to not be as benevolent and all-knowing, or benevolent and capable of foresight? Because it seems like most of them, if not all, I can't think of anybody, so I'll say most just to be safe. Not one that has lived in contemporary or recent times. Because when you, so like people are maybe in the comments or in messages going to say like biblical people. Biblical people, I'm going to refuse that because, you know, though I think that those texts not just Bible, but religious texts, though I think that there's a lot of useful and alchemical like information and philosophy and so forth in there. I also think that a lot of it's fucking made up. I think that a lot of it was written at different times. It's been vastly picked over and edited and altered by those that understand the level of influence and power that you can use religious texts for. Book of Eli, good movie, very much shows the psychology behind using a religion to control the masses. Um, so those, I mean, recent people, don't fucking say like Charlemagne or somebody, because that's not, that's weird. Um, I don't know. If someone does come to me with somebody, I'm gonna research it intensely and probably make a video about it. I'm going through weird stuff still, by the way. Um, this is a cool test. I guess I do get to go live now. Um, I'm going through stuff right now still. Um, Things are better, but they're not at the same time. I am very forthcoming with telling you all about things, but I have to not do that currently, so I'm not gonna. But I will as soon as I can, and I think it will help people to understand potentially like why I had such a hiccup, why I had such a failed hurdle jump, because I was doing a lot of very, very intensive videos, like very heavy research, very, very well documented, and adding my thoughts on peer-reviewed studies and stuff like that. And I intend to return to that, but you know, life on you sometimes. So still dealing with that, but I'm in the process of kind of like spitballing some concepts to make videos about. If you have ideas, those are welcome, but um, just in a weird headspace and dealing with a lot of weird shit. But I love, this is like a really, really important outlet for me, so I'm not gonna stop doing it. And I think that it's important that not just me, obviously, but people that do stuff like this, I think it's important to get your shit out and to not quiet the mind so much that you don't share your thoughts or share experimental thoughts or thought experiments or philosophy. Otherwise, we all probably will end up, I don't know, fucking brain dead or something. I've got some ideas for videos. I'm not really going to talk about them because I'm not sure about them yet. Hopefully, this was thought provoking. Crowley is a piece of shit. There are too many people who think Crowley is cool. Just gonna keep saying that. Crowley sucked. Um, Not saying that he didn't contribute anything to philosophy. I'll give philosophy as a maybe a contribution area for Crowley, but past that, dude, fucking weirdo. So if you're, if you do happen to know anybody that's practicing his stuff, maybe you have a talk with him because it's a slippery, weird slope of uh, potential rape and brutalization of other people. You know? Again, I don't know anything about Sylvia Plath. Parsons, also a fucking weirdo, obviously. And I mean, you can continue to go down the ranks of the Golden Dawn and other entities like it, and they're weirdos. So, not saying that that means that you shouldn't try to be successful in life. That's not the kind of power I'm talking about. I'm talking about like power, like energetic power, power over other beings, power over other entities, power over this place. I think that it corrupts you mentally and probably spiritually also. So that's all I got, and I appreciate it if you watch this video. If you want to donate, that's cool. Appreciate it. It's in the description of the channel. If I think to do it, I will put it in the description of the video, stream, live, whatever the fuck this is. Um, it can definitely help. I still very much want to do this channel specifically and solely, but we'll see if that happens. I had to take a sabbatical. I had to deal with very weird shit that I'm still dealing with. So, trying to come back. I'm seeing what kind of response I get as far as like how much I put into it because things are different now. But I do love you. Those of you that still like send messages and emails and hit me up on Instagram and all the shit. I very much appreciate it. It's been very cool. It helped me through some goofiness. So I don't know when the next video is. I don't know when the next live is, but I'm very active in the community section. So I'll put it up somewhere. Yeah, look into not Crowley's practices or his established like books and shit like that. Look into what people said about him. Look into Plath and what people said about her. Look into Parsons and what people said about him and what they did to people, how they treated people, what they said when they were closer to death. These are important things to maybe look into before you dive into following them or looking to them as influential beings within your existence and thought processes. Yeah. Cool. Bye.